Give them a shot to do what?
Told him not to get the pygmy rat, and he kept it anyway. So, he never listens to nobody. All right, on today's show, me and Bert will give you our thoughts on the fallout from the NFL draft and what turned into basically the Shedeur Sanders draft. So did he hijack it, or did the media hijack it, or however you want to phrase it? And then we'll go over some of the stuff we saw this week that was good, bad, and fugly. And maybe some MLB talk. I really just want to gloat about my Mets, but we'll save that for later. Strap it on, because we're going to do all that and more next. Sports. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Stuff About Sports, presented by the Give Us a Shot Network, powered by Fast Break Coffee, and sponsored, as always, Bert, by the haters. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to the first timers, last timers, the podcast listenership, the YouTube viewership, the social media ships. Big shout out to the social media ship. Made a clip about Shedeur Sanders, I think day 2 of the draft. Bert, in 4 short days, over a total year worth of watch time on that one clip. We went super viral. We got caught up on Don Lemon. Boo, I know Don Lemon's. A lot of people don't like that, but hey, exposure's exposure. I don't give a shit. And then I had the honor and privilege of joining WVON. It's an all-black news station out in Chicago. It's been around for about 60 years, one of the more well-known ones in the Chicago-based area. I had a really good time. I was supposed to do one segment. I ended up doing a whole hour. It was great.
Yeah.
And so that'll be up at some point, probably tomorrow, all cut up and for your listening pleasure.
Yeah.
What's up,
It was awesome, dude. That post was insane, not just from the traction standpoint, but it was such a good point. And it's not something that we had brought up in the shows leading up to it, because the hype was there. And we'll get into this a little bit later. We thought for sure Shedeur was a first rounder, as did everyone else. But the second he dropped the day 2. And then by Saturday, I mean, you would put out that clip because there was truth there. So, and let's face it, there were a lot of people butthurt over someone's opinion, which, we'll touch upon that a little bit later on. But, you love to see it.
Oh, I love it, man. Listen. We have a saying here. Keep crying. Your tears are like PEDs to us. You think I care what you call me? You losers out there, all you haters, sit there and tell us that I feel like every week it's the same people telling us that they're never going to watch the show or listen or comment on our social media. And it's
exactly what it is. It's individuals that have opinions that think they're facts with nothing to back it up. So they'll sit there and make these claims like, oh, well, he's not as good as this and he's not as good as that. And the second you come back with anything truthful, they don't say a word. They just sit there and shut up and take it. Like this is what I've just grown to learn. This is just what the internet is right now, is individuals citing things without fact. And then the second you put them in their place, they're like, well, whatever, you're a loser. Still a dumb post. You're baiting us. This is ridiculous. Well, if I am, it worked. Thanks for your engagement.
Yeah, I'm baiting you 100%. And I'm going to do it again. So it just, but, and I don't mind, me, Bert, I don't mind the back and forth. I don't mind, the beef and arguing. I love it. I think it's great. But yeah, if you're going to call me out on something, at least have a counterpoint, like at least be interesting, right? You're not even interesting.
And I hate diving into it right now, because I mean, the last thing I'll say is, if you don't have a counterpoint, accept the fact that we're calling you out on the reason why you don't like this situation. It could have been the Shedeur post or whatever, and you just have to come to terms with that's what you're admitting to yourself right now. Yeah. You don't want to come to terms and admit in the fact that you don't like him because he's got ego and attitude, but for some reason you let it slide for other individuals, but you can't shake it for him, whether it's by way of how he's conducting himself based on his skill level or who his father is or whatever. But if that's the reason, that's fine. Own up to it, especially if you can't come up with anything else or any other rebuttal to say. So again, look, more to come on that because we can unpack that for a whole hour and a half if we need to.
Yeah, and we'll get there. First things first, Bert. This week's good, bad, and fugly. This is a segment where we take a look at the week in sports and we give you something that was good, whether that was a team or a league or a player, and then obviously something bad, that's something we didn't like, and then something that was just downright effing ugly. Bert, start us off with your good this week.
The good is, I mean, you don't have to look far for me. It's honestly, it is the NHL playoffs in full swing. And I am thankful, at least for the Western Conference, giving us competitive series, which is look, my team's out of it. I want to see great matchups and teams go back and forth. And when you look at the West, after almost a weekend, it seemed like every single series was locked in at 2-2. We had the Stars, the Knights, and the Oilers pulled ahead recently within the past 2 days to be up in their series 3-2 against their opponents, with some of them having the opportunity to close it out either tonight, tomorrow, or into Friday as well. Truly like wild back and forth. I mean, when I spoke about this last week in terms of my predictions, and we spoke about the Oilers a little bit too, they quickly went down 2-0. And then climbed back in it against LA. And the same thing with the Jets series as well. Jets went up 2-0 and then found themselves deadlocked at 2-2. Shifting things over to the East, it's still taking my good, and I love competitive hockey, but as a Ranger fan, what I love more than competitive hockey in the West is the Devils getting absolutely mopped by the Hurricanes. They set out last night. I stayed up for it just to watch it happen. And I have family that's a Devil fan. So my heart breaks a little bit for him, but I'll be honest with you, smiling a little extra hard.
I had a giant smile on my face when the Carolina
Devil fans chirp me all you want. Tell me that my team's not even playing. Tell me that my team choked last year in the Eastern Conference Finals. Chirp all you want. Yes, all those things are true. But you know what else is true? You only played 5 more games than we did, and you're still on the golf course before June. It is.
When Sebastian Aho hit that goal double OT, man, you got to be kidding me. I jumped off my couch.
This was a series where after game 1, I think even Corey knew that this probably isn't going to go long. And I had thought, I mean, the way the Hurricanes play they have such a good forecheck. They suffocate in their basically in the offensive zone, and they were just running the Devils ragged. And I think they dominated in times of possession with the puck. They certainly dominated on shots. If it wasn't for Markov, was it Markov or Markstrom, the Devils goaltender, honestly, this would have been complete blowout, but he kept them in it. And look, I understand the Devils were facing injuries. You didn't have Jack Hughes out there. I understand, but at the same time, like it wasn't even fair. The Hurricanes just outplayed them every bit of the way. Now we have 2 other series in the East that could potentially end tonight. We have the battle for Florida. We have Tampa and the Florida Panthers. Man, Tampa was leading 2, I think it was like 2-0 the game the other night, end up losing it 4-2. I mean, the Panthers scored 2 quick goals, which I want to say is under 2 minutes, and then they just lost it from there. I think last time I checked, that game was deadlocked, tied 2-2 right now, but we'll see if Tampa can make a series out of it or if Florida just wins out. And then the Capitals have the opportunity to close that out against Montreal tonight too and advance and play the winner of what would be, I think, Toronto and the Senators. Toronto shit the bed last night, man. They were up 3-1. Lost at home 4-0 to the Senators. And you got to think, is this going to be Toronto doing Toronto things and having an early exit in the playoffs? We'll see if they can close it out back in Ottawa coming up. But look, man, overall good. It's anytime I don't have like my heart in it with my team and I can just sit there and enjoy the sport, I'm loving every single minute of it. It's fantastic.
My good is going to the team that I'm rocking right now. But before we get there, Face of Sports, thanks for dropping in. He says, "Go Birds." Hey, Eagles had a pretty good draft. I mean, for a team that just won the Super Bowl, they drafted pretty well. And then of course he says he doesn't like Shedeur Sanders because his daddy was a Cowboy. Understandable.
But hey, listen,
I got it.
Yeah, I get that. At least that's your reason. You're not hiding behind anything else. You're not sitting there saying like, "Oh, well, I don't like his ego or his attitude." Like, you don't have to like him because if you don't, I mean, you don't have to sit here and say like, "Oh," or think of another reason. If you don't like him because of who his dad is, that's perfectly fine.
My good is going to the New York Mets, first team to 20. Bert, I mean, how bullpen leads in ERA. Hader's been real quiet. Listen, I know
I
we had
haven't.
this.
No, I've
I
still
know
voiced
you
my
haven't.
displeasement with it. Yeah.
Listen, I get it.
But listen, when you have a team
hmm
that you're able to field that has played 20 games against sub 500 teams, I guess this is what you get. It's fine,
Hey, we can't help the schedule, man. The good teams
That's
supposed to
fair.
beat. Good teams are supposed to win the games they're supposed to win, right? I
Yep.
mean, I
Yeah.
don't, and so I know it was a little shaky there. We lost 8-7 after we had a 7-1 lead to the Nats, but we came back 19-5 clinic on them.
Bad.
Won the first game against the Diamondbacks yesterday. We're playing the Diamondbacks. I believe we're leading them right now, which would be Wednesday, April 30th, if you're listening to this in the future or in the past or whatever the right terminology is. Listen, currently, the Mets have the best record in baseball. We have the biggest divisional lead in baseball. Not only do the Mets have the best run differential in all of baseball, plus 50, by the way, we've scored the most runs in the NL East, 6th in the NL, 9th in the whole MLB. And the bright spot and the real good about this, Bert, is Pete Alonso. After all the hoopla in the offseason, he's our Aaron Judge. I get it. Homegrown talent. He's slugging. And it's not just the home runs, right? It's like the one plight against, well, the two main things, beef that I've had with him specifically last year was his lack of defense, which he's made some excellent plays this year at first base.
He's made better plays than your $765 million man has. That's for sure.
Don't stomp on the moon. And he's smarter. It seems up to this point, he's smarter at the plate. He's not chasing balls. He's allowing himself to be walked. He's swinging at good pitches for the most part. So I'm really happy with how Alonso has kind of honestly carried an otherwise suspect offense for the Mets, because Lindor kind of started slow, but then he wakes up. And you mentioned Soto. Maybe his presence is enough at this point now, but you're right. At some point, this isn't sustainable for a lot of what we've been doing, and Soto's going to have to wake up. Face of Sports said Shedeur is going to make a lot of teams regret on passing him. They really did him a favor. Now he's going to, now he's only even got to be mid to make him regret it. Yeah. I mean, and we're going to get to that. That's actually part of my analysis. It's funny you said that. Bert, what's your bad from this week?
Ooh, bad. I mean, this is very recent, but Tyrese Haliburton's father taunting Giannis at the end of the game yesterday, like some sort of child fan out there mid-court. Look, we've spoken about this before, and I'm all for athletes having tough skin. I am, and I think that goes for individuals that chirp them. That's fine. I don't think there is room for, like, you wouldn't find a normal fan half court taunting them, right? And if they were, they'd probably be taken down rather quickly. I don't know why we're providing exception for family members to do so. And it was bad. It's a bad look. I understand being passionate and being a huge son of your fans and doing this. And there's stories about him doing this throughout the league, regular season, postseason. That's fine. I think it was just such a lack of respect for your son's colleagues and competitors that I think gets me, and just it felt so wrong to do. And it's not something you find often in sports, but it was just a bad look. I will say good on Giannis for standing up to himself, even after the fact, getting in his face and just saying, don't disrespect me like that. Also, great on Tyrese at the presser for being like, that is something I'm going to address with him. There's no room for that in the sport. And that he was going to reach out to Giannis too. I think it was handled perfectly. And it may have just been one of those, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. It may have been just one of those adrenaline things of being so happy for his son that he just gets out there. You're talking about someone that's, been in lockstep with him his entire life, seeing him make it to this level and then want to root him on. And it could have just been one of that, like those moments. We have those all the time where you look back, you're like, damn, I let the adrenaline get the best of me. Probably shouldn't have done that, but it is what it is. That's why he's only getting my bad this week. And I saved my fugly for something else.
So it's funny because I had that as my fugly, but I'll go ahead and switch it and just piggyback off of you. One, these family members and these parents, they need to be banned from courtside. I'll say it.
Yeah.
Put them in the suite. Put them in the box. And I get that basketball is unique where the fans actually sit up right up on the court. It's not like football where like a lot of parents sit up in the skybox or they sit somewhere and it's separated by a bunch of things. But you know what? For this where was Pacers security? Why is this guy allowed to just walk onto the court among all the ruckus? I mean, I'm okay. It's Tyrese Haliburton's dad. I'm sure the people that work there are familiar with him, but that doesn't, that like, he's sitting there. Oh, look, this is what we do. This is what the F we do. Who is we?
Yeah.
Did I see, like, you don't play for the team. Sit your ass down. And what you've done was your son, who is voted most overrated player by his peers, whatever, he had an excellent moment for him.
Yeah.
Right. I think Tyrese Haliburton, I don't know if he's overrated. I don't think people, I think he's just a good, solid, he's a good player. But he took this moment, you took this moment from your son after being voted by your peers, eliminating one of the preeminent stars in the league at home. And now nobody's talking about it. They're talking about your old stupid ass running up to Giannis, 6'10". Shout out to Giannis for having composure, because I would have knocked his kufi off if he ran up on me like that.
That is
Straight
like,
up.
honestly, I was shocked. I mean, look,
Uh-oh.
in the moment, it's one of those things where yo, I lost it. Jeremy Eddie, let's go. But it was one of those things where, I mean, you look at the size differential, and yeah, good on Giannis for not taking it that route, but he could have. And I love your point about, you know, you're making it about you, because the reaction, he could have easily just went to his son and celebrated.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't see his son get in Giannis's face. Like, I mean, that, like, you know, like you said, yeah, who is we? We're not playing for the team. It's just, yeah, man, there was something about that whole thing that I was just like, ooh, you shudder a little bit. You're just like, this doesn't look right.
I mean, I feel like it's like an epidemic, man. It's like, you know, Shannon Sharp was fighting with John Morant's dad and people, you know, it's just like, I feel like there's just, why are the parents so involved? Why are the significant others so involved? Go sit down somewhere and let the people that are on the court do it. And NBA, do a better job with security. Hey, I get it. You're the star player of the team's parents, but you can't walk onto the court because nobody else can. And you don't work for us and things of that nature. So
Charles Oakley can't go back to the Garden, but this dude's father is coming in and on the court. I mean, you know what they need? They need MSG security. Is what they need. They need a Dolan in the sky watching everything.
Man, Dolan's in the stands playing guitar drunk, so I don't even know if he knows what's going on. I don't even know if Dolan knows he can. Oh, cracker? Is that? Can you say that still?
I don't.
If I can't say the R, if I can't say the R word, you can't say the C word.
No.
All right. So, what's your fugly?
Ooh, fugly. I mean, it touches on the draft. Prank calls on draft day. This is insane. Obviously, there were two reports. One just came out today. Abdul Carter reported receiving a prank call from someone saying that he was from the Jags, saying they'd take him 2 overall. Thankfully, they realized pretty quickly that that wasn't the case. But I mean, let's talk about Jack Solbridge. Like, it's disgusting on many levels. I can only give you a pass so far when you are quote unquote a kid.
Right.
But Ware does what he does. And hopefully you understand the gravity around any situation where someone's life is about to change with a phone call. And regardless of what your thoughts are on that individual, how they grew up, who their parents are, who they're related to do that to someone is just absolutely wrong. Yeah. And to make matters worse, like a fucking idiot, you film it.
Yeah.
I mean, film
what are you
it.
doing? What are you
like,
doing?
I think the youth now, and we're not that old, but we grew up in a time when we didn't need to record everything. We still don't. I still have to remind myself to videotape and take pictures at my kids' sporting events just to make sure that they have something when they're older. But I'm very conscious of the fact that when they do get to an age where they get cell phones and they start using them, that I'm going to have to let them know, hey, don't record yourself doing stupid shit. And this was the dumbest of the dumb to do, because not only did you then put it out there, it's going around, it shows your character. And yes, he can certainly grow from this, but it was such a fucked up thing to do to Shedeur, and ended up costing his dad $100,000.
Yeah.
So Jeff got fined $100,000 and the team $250,000 over something stupid you did. Yeah. Now it's fugly because it's just wrong to do.
Yeah.
It's also fugly because Jeff, how do you leave this information out so blatantly? And honestly, how do you not have it unlocked to where your son can just go in your iPad and pull it? Something to me is either he was just so careless with this information, which, I mean, should be, I mean, he was fined for it, but at the same time, like, you know, my phone's next to me almost all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I know for a fact if my kids are even around it, and I understand that there might be times in the day where his devices are somewhere else, but it's just like, just fucking do better. That's all I need you to do. Do better. And if I were in Jeff's position, I would be sending my son to Cleveland for the entirety of the season to be Shedeur's personal water boy and jockstrap holder.
That'd
Plain
be
and
great.
simple. I would have to teach him
That'd be
like
great.
I think I'd probably like defer his college for him to go. And I understand calls were made, apologies were made. It's just something that's so egregious that you're just like, you should know better. Regardless of how dumb kids are and the pranks that they pull, this is not something that you do.
Yeah. Listen, do I think this kid did some like Mission Impossible, snuck into his dad's office through the, drop ceiling? No, do I see a scenario where the dad just had the iPad out and didn't think that his son would just snoop in it? Probably not. So like, yeah, like he got fined basically for being careless with sensitive intel. And the team, I know the team got paid $250, but trust me, that's coming out of coach.
Oh, it's coming back. Yeah.
That they're going to, recoup some of that money back. But yeah, it's just a bad look. And I know people are upset that nobody's getting the press that Shedeur got. A lot of people got pranked, but this is how the world works, people. Shedeur's the star. Sorry. Like, I get Abdul Carter's the second pick in the draft, and we're going to talk about it in a second. That was the Shedeur Sanders draft, man. Like, he is the biggest star. Jersey sales are proving it. He doesn't even have a number yet. He's the number one jersey sale in Fanatics. Everybody's just doing Shedeur Sanders 00 jerseys, which means they're going to buy his real number once he just picks a real number or whatever number they end up giving him. Like, special people get special treatment. That's the crux of the whole thing. So, my fugly quickly is the Miami Heat. They lost big, got eliminated, it got swept. Not only did they got swept, they got embarrassed. They got eliminated 55 points. They lost their last two games by a combined of 122 points. So it's not good. Tyler Hero said after they were down 0-3 that they're not going to get swept. And of course they got swept and lost by 55 points. The Miami Heat are done. They're going to have to make a major, major swing. We talked about Giannis earlier. I wouldn't be shocked if Giannis ends up on the Miami Heat next year or something like that, because they need a star player. You heard it here first. So I have nothing. I didn't talk to nobody. I don't know anything. I'm just giving you what I think. Shedeur could live off dad's money and is still going to the NFL. That kid will live off of dad's money and nobody will ever give a shit about him again. Yeah. I mean,
he could. Yeah.
He's talking about Jax Ulbrich, right? Like he's living off his dad's check and nobody's going to.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
He's saying Shedeur could live off his dad's money, but he's going to the NFL. He'll be fine.
Yeah.
Jax has nothing but his dad's money.
Correct.
And as far as I know, I don't think Jax plays football. I think he goes to Ole Miss as a student.
Judging by that video, if he plays football, he's got to be a kicker.
Special teams.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we'll see what happens with that. So now that we're talking about Shedeur Sanders, okay, Bert, this is what I'll say about Shedeur Sanders. The word fell or slipped in the draft to me.
I don't like slipped.
He was pushed. He didn't slip.
So when you say pushed, are you going like they were teaching him a lesson intentionally
100%
route? Yeah.
I think teams. I do. Okay. So here's the crux, right?
Yep.
He went 144th in the 5th round. He was projected as a first round pick.
Yes.
He was I believe second highest.
He was never
rated
projected to be the top pick though.
No, and people say that. So like the fact that Shedeur was projected to be drafted in the 1st round and eventually got drafted in the 5th round, overall to me is ridiculous. Like that's not a slip to me.
Well, when you look at the other 3 that were drafted before him, I get it. Now, Cam Ward was going to go 1.
Right.
He's
superior. Yes, I got that.
Yep. What I think shocked me, and I'm willing to give the Giants a pass because we didn't see another QB taken until Jackson Dart, right?
Right.
So the Giants ended up going with him. But what we got to remember with the Giants is since Shedeur didn't participate in the combine, which we've spoke about here, we don't have an issue with that whatsoever.
No.
I personally feel you should be able to look at the tape. I don't think a skill demonstration is going to provide value to someone who has as much notoriety as Shedeur. Other people feel differently, and that's perfectly fine. But the Giants had him out to work out with him and interview with him. Obviously, they didn't feel it was the right fit. We talked about this in the last show too. I didn't personally want to draft Shedeur because he was someone who was going to develop and want to play immediately. And we just signed 3 quarterbacks within a matter of 2 months. It did to me, it didn't make sense because it's not like we were holding out on a quarterback. We just signed 3 of them.
Yeah.
So like we didn't have that need anymore. That being said, had they taken him 25th overall, I wouldn't have been mad at it.
Yeah.
You know, because we didn't waste the 3 pick on him. So, and then you get to New Orleans. And I think that's where a lot of us were like, like why wouldn't they draft Shedeur 2nd round, 40th overall? And why would you go with Tyler Show? Is it Show?
Shog, I believe.
Shog?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or even Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah.
3rd round to the Browns. The Browns ended up taking Shedeur anyways. So if we're looking at this, if I'm putting on my tinfoil hat and we're going conspiracy route, which I'm honestly all in.
Yeah.
And I know that there have been a lot of talking heads out there saying there's no way the whole league would have done that. Either something has come out that nobody's telling us, or they were doing this maliciously to a certain extent. Because I don't understand how his value would have dropped so much, especially after over the last 2 months having to hear about just where in the 1st round he would go, knowing that he's not going to go number 1. Who could use a quarterback like Shedeur? Where would he fit in best? And this same media machine that propped up these projections as high are the same individuals after the fact that are now filling in the gaps and going, well, this is why, because this quarterback is this and he doesn't. And actually, it makes sense that he didn't go until the 5th round and so on. And to make matters worse, I had to watch a clip of Chris Carter wasting his hot fucking breath about how he should have acted differently. And that's what dropped his stock. And, you know, you're a person even after you're a football player, as though this man didn't speak to a whole room full of rookies, telling them to get a fall guy, as though he's some holier than thou person, football player. And we're talking, and you said this perfectly in a lot of the comments in terms of replies to the post. You said, we're talking about someone who is showing up confidently with ego, but has nothing personally damning at this point, aside from the fact that many individuals just don't like his personality and how he acts. He didn't show up in the same with any type of coke problem, drug problem, arrests, DUIs, much like, you know, the Johnny Manziels or the Bakers of the world. And look, I'm not saying that this is what they should be labeled with the rest of their lives, but, you know, this is what happened into the draft, and they were still selected rather high. And we can go into their specific collegiate stats all we want. And we're not saying Shedeur is the best quarterback to ever be entered into any draft. But in this draft, he was, for all intent and purpose, projected to be the 2nd quarterback to go off the board.
Says Brown's got a damn army of quarterbacks now.
They do.
I mean, and listen, all that aside, Shedeur's in a good spot. You have Joe Flacco, who's probably going to start, but he's 40-something years of age. You have Kenny Pickett, who's been on 3 teams in the last 3 years. Doesn't look like he is who people drafted, you know, who Pittsburgh drafted. I'm not going to say a bust, but he doesn't look like a franchise guy either. And then you have Dylan Gabriel, who you're already better than. We know this because we've watched the games.
Yeah.
And then you have you. So I can see if the Browns not playing well at the end of the season. Now, he has to make the team and all that stuff, and I'm sure he will. But
I think he's going to. He's
going to be hard
on his shoulder beyond anything else. Yeah.
But it's going to be hard because as of right now, just based on how he's drafted and what the team has, he's going to be 4th string unless an injury happens.
Yeah.
And then so he's going to get limited reps anyway. Maybe they'll split him between him and Gabriel. I don't know how it's going to shake out. I would assume just based off name and who he is, he's going to have a pretty fair shot to make this team.
So here's the thing, though. We can't sit here and say based off name he should play, because that's a lot of the arguments in the past of being like, well, the only reason he was starting in college because his daddy coached. And I'm like, that's not the case. If you knew how competitive Dion was, he's not going to start someone just because he's related to him. He's going to have to compete, and he shows that he has. He's had fantastic stats for all intent and purpose. I will say I wouldn't be surprised, and this is nothing against Jersey boy Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Joe Flacco doesn't play a full season.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked either.
I mean, we're talking about someone who he's a journeyman. He's the Ryan Fitzpatrick of this.
But he's the best person to be for the team. He's the veteran. He knows he's been around the block.
Yes,
right.
yeah.
As a locker room guy, not somebody to play, but to calm Shedeur and whoever down, teach him how to be a professional, because you can say anything you want about Joe Flacco. He's a Super Bowl champion, and he may be a journeyman now, but he was a franchise quarterback. And when he was at the height of his powers, he was one of the better quarterbacks in the league. And so he knows what it takes to win, and not only win, stay in the league for a long time. So, he keeps getting these jobs because of who he is, and other quarterbacks flame out after one or two cycles. So, that everything's set up right for Shedeur. Now, you talked about, do we think he's the best quarterback? No, obviously not. He's not athletic. He's not overly athletic, right? When he's not in the Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, he doesn't wow you with anything. He doesn't have some cannon for an arm, but he's accurate. I think he was the most accurate quarterback in college football last year. And he's smart. He has high football IQ. He's a system quarterback, and Kevin Stefanski is the right coach for that system for him. So I see, if you're telling me that his ceiling is Baker Mayfield, because that's the closest thing I can see, I'm happy with that, because Baker's pretty fucking good.
Baker is good. And
listen,
it took Baker a while to find the right fit, the right team, right? And honestly, I mean, you talk to any Tampa Bay fan, they're happy with Baker.
Yeah. They want me to these Penn Bulldog guys. They're back. Flacco got to stay on the bench with his age and health. His emergency only. I mean, I could see him starting at first, because he does give them the best chance to win. They're going to see. I mean, they were almost in the AFC title game with Joe Flacco 2 years ago. So, I mean, I know that father time doesn't work backwards, but I mean, I'm sure they're going to give it a righteous shot.
I think they're gonna have a tough camp in deciding, who's doing what. But I do think, I would say it's either Flacco or Pickett. Yeah,
to start.
It'd be tough to say that either Gabriel or Shedeur is going to jump above that, but you never know.
Yeah. The Penn Bulldogs want me to talk about them beating the 6th ranked whoever. It was a stunning result. I mean, you guys were unranked. People were counting you out. You took down a 6th ranked team that nobody saw coming. It's the kind of upset that'll be talked about for years. Maybe forever. So you got to give credit to the Bulldogs. They came out with a game plan, Bert. They executed flawlessly. Stifling defense, great clutch scoring, and just determination. What a moment for their players. What a moment for their coach, Scott Flatham, and what a moment for the fans. Shout out to the Penn Bulldogs. All right, Bert. So what I don't like is, it can be racism, and it can be politics, and it can be this, and you don't like the way he acts. Here's the crux of the matter, and this is just me speaking. Yes.
Whether it's any of that, at the very least, it's bias.
It's a bias.
Yeah.
Whatever bias you want it to be.
Yeah.
We had some guys that are loosely affiliated with the network, couldn't give me a really good reason to why they're biased. And I asked him, and he immediately assumed that I thought he was racist. No, I didn't say that. Never said that once. You said that. Shedeur could have been piping your wife down. He could have been in there clapping your queen's cheeks. I have no idea why you don't like him. That's why I'm asking. So
the post brought out, and many individuals thought that there was implication there. And look, take it as you want. This is how I viewed it, non-racially, but rather from a football family bias sense.
Yeah.
And you made the stark comparison of Archie and the Mannings, and Archie basically saying Eli's not going to play for the Chargers. He's not.
Right.
and what the difference is, because a lot of people at the time, in terms of why he was being pushed down the draft, Shedeur, a lot of individuals are pointing to Dion. They're pointing, he's too involved. He's going to do this. Owners are getting scared that if they draft Shedeur, he's going to come in and coach, as though that's something that was out there in the universe, as though he said, and that they wouldn't have a say on. The reasoning that I saw in these comments were absolutely absurd to me, as though people were just inventing scenarios in their head and justifying their own individual bias and refusing to admit to themselves what they really thought on it in itself. I compared the two situations from a family sense, and you're 100% right. I remember the Eli draft.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't care as much because it benefited my Giants.
Right. Yeah, I'm about to say, you're a Giants fan, dog.
I know people who were Ole Miss fans who loved Eli at Ole Miss, who were furious at him for acting like this, or for the situation with Archie acting like this, because, you should be thankful for you're at the draft and you should go to an NFL team and so on. And, we have the same situation where individuals are pointing back and saying, oh, well, Manning had better stats. Eli was better. Peyton was better. Like, they did this. And it's like, well, you're forgetting A, how pissed you were when this happened. But B, you're thinking of the quarterback now. You're thinking of these individuals playing now, the result, and you're giving them a hall pass and saying, well, they've earned it. And we can sit there and say, if you're going to bring personality into this, then you're going to have to hold that true for any existing NFL quarterback player out there right now. We have a quarterback in the NFL that is yet to sign with a team who's, Aaron Rodgers. And say what you want. If you're gonna dog Shedeur for the fact that he's confident and cocky, I mean, take a fucking look at A-Rod over there. I mean, it's basically the same thing. The difference is Aaron Rodgers has proved himself in the NFL, MVP, Super Bowl winner. That's fine, but you can't give a knock on Shedeur, because as far as I'm concerned, as a football fan and someone that I want in my franchise, I want them to come in confident, borderline cocky, and ready to get shit done, especially because he has a track record of proven ability. So I mean, that's the way I took it. And to see some of the comments of just absolutely blowing up of, oh, well, this is race bait and this is this, and he wasn't that good and he isn't this, I completely lost it. I was like, this is absolutely absurd.
It's not so much. So it's funny you say classism. It's the word that I was using with people. It's not racial. It's cultural, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it can't be racist. Cam Ward was drafted number 1.
Yeah.
Okay, let's examine Cam Ward versus Shedeur Sanders for a second. Cam Ward is quiet, doesn't wear a lot of jewelry, right? Doesn't have somebody in your face. He's not on social media like that. And I'm telling you, Bert, as an old white owner, they look at that and that's safe. That's a safe, somebody I can trust. They're not used to, and this is, I mean, Colin Kaepernick once compared the NFL to like slave ownership, right? Like that was his excuse me, that was his whole bag, right? Think about it. They want these players that come from nothing. They want them submissive so they can control them. Jerry Richardson, famously, owner of the Carolina Panthers, told Cam Newton, I want your hair to be short, clean. You're not allowed to get any piercings. You're not allowed to get any tattoos. He didn't get his first tattoo until the Teppers took over. And that was damn near almost at the end of Cam Newton's tenure. And so, to me, it's all part of a larger pie. They don't like a strong, confident, young black man who kind of has written his own destiny. They want a guy that they can, quote unquote, control. That's not an opinion of mine. That is how it works, because we are evidenced by something called history. And it's been shown to us time and time again that that's how it works, because that's how they like it. And so it can be racial because, again, we've already proven that with, you've mentioned Johnny Manziel and Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield got a DUI and was fighting police before the draft. Let me ask you, if that was Shedeur Sanders doing that, you think he would have got drafted at all? Probably not. Johnny Manziel was doing
been later than when he did already. Like
Johnny Manziel was doing coke before A&M games. You think if that would have came out against Shedeur or Cam Ward for that matter, You think Cam Ward would have still went number one? Probably not.
Yeah.
So what is it then, right? And yeah, it is a little bit of classism. What do you want Shedeur Sanders to act like? He's a rich black dude. And a lot of these black athletes that come through the league are, and I'm just generalizing. I'm not saying all, I'm saying most, come from single parenthood, generally the single mother. Some, and they come from poverty. Because what is the first thing these players do when they get drafted, Bert? What do they go do when they sign their contract? They go buy their mama house.
Go buy mama house.
Retire my mom. So, and these owners bank on that ideal. They don't have that power now, right? Yeah. They want you to come from nothing. They want you submissive, and they, excuse me, because that's the image America has always shown the world. That's what they always show. They flash to the mom sitting there crying because their son is there. And, I think after the draft, the way Shedeur has carried himself, I'm bothered. On full display, dancing, happy, thanking God, not a puppet, desperate to buy his family that house or escape poverty. He has leverage, and NFL teams and owners hate that lack of control, in my opinion. So, and it's funny about the people that hate that, because Shedeur's already in Cleveland. He's already speaking in Cleveland high schools. He was doing that today. Yeah. Already in the city talking about
the weekend after, flying out immediately to get to work.
But his character's terrible, right? You know, and listen, he interviewed bad, according to who? The New York Giants? No offense, Bert. The same New York Giants that gave Daniel Jones a huge contract and let Saquon Barkley out the door. That's the intel we're trusting here.
No offense taken whatsoever. But what's so funny is some of the individuals that were criticizing him for how he was acting afterwards, and like you mentioned, thanking God and partying. One of those individuals is Chris Carter. So in saying, he must have spent, I think I forget the direct quote was, like saying he must have spent like 20 million or whatever it was on the parties and this, and it was just too showy and it was too much. And I'm sitting there going like your career wasn't as subdued as you might remember. Like, this is absolutely insane. But that was for him to celebrate. He just made, look, he put in work in college. He had the privilege of being coached by his father,
which we all would love and do.
Who turned around not one but two programs in college football, and then literally for any athlete, being drafted at the highest level is a success story in itself, regardless if you grew up privileged or not. So go ahead and celebrate, but to take a flight out and get to work right away, that response shows me that chip on his shoulder is deep, and he is coming out to prove a point. And as the gentleman in our comments said earlier, he's going to make people regret not drafting him.
So far, the things that they told me that Shedeur Sanders lacked: poise, resolve, maturity, necessary to lead an NFL franchise. His response to all the disappointment is standing tall. And instead of hiding, he's in Cleveland doing his thing. Strengthens his reputation to people who are already supporting him. And it's exactly why people are resonating with him, Bert. He isn't trying to fit into some mold that the owners want. He's being himself. It isn't he's not telling us what, what's funny about the people that are arguing and calling him cocky and saying that they hate what he's doing. Yeah. These so-called Americans, isn't Shedeur Sanders representing what you love? Yeah. You want the government to stay out of your business. You want to say what you want to say and do what you want to do and keep your guns. You want being freedom. Openly defiant and free. Yeah.
You don't want to be controlled by the NFL owners out there. Exactly. Yeah.
Isn't Shedeur exemplifying all of that? You cry about all this stuff, but then you're demonizing and villainizing this kid for being exactly who you all claim you want to be or what you want in life. So I don't understand. I listen, you think the kid's an asshole? Fine. Say that. I don't like him because he's an asshole. It's not because, don't try to make up shit like he's not good at football, because he is. He's not the best, but don't tell me he's not good. He's good. And don't tell me that it's anything else other than the fact that you see a face or you see a lifestyle that you don't agree with. And you know what? That's also cool. I wish he was more humble. I wish he was doing this. Why you wish that? I don't know. But just say that. But don't make up excuses to why you think this kid is so terrible when he's not.
Well, it's all this proven. Basically, they've got to prove value to me in the NFL and my team in order to give them respect, which to me is absolutely insane to think about on draft day. Like, Yeah, I mean, you don't know how it's going to turn out. Like, and for me, because my immediately thought process went to, there's so many individuals, and I'm really just thinking about the post that you had made and put up there, because there's so many individuals jumping into the comments just attacking his character, and that's all I saw. But they're the same individuals, because I looked at some of their profiles and what I could gather at least who they were rooting for, because 9 times out of 10 it was a dude with the bearded sunglasses, or someone who had the profile picture set to a dog, or some scenery with 0 followers and 0 posts and 3 people.
a bunch of
they're following 3 people. Yeah, just keyboard warriors. But for me, I found it so interesting that there's so many individuals coming out and attacking his particular character, when from a person standpoint, despite the fact that he's a little bit flashy, he was a good student. He's got like a 3.9 GPA. He stayed out of trouble. But they're the same individuals who root for their favorite football team, and will root for the individuals that have things like sexual assault, domestic violence, any other rap sheet, but they're willing to overlook that because there's value in what they're doing for their team. So if they're valuable making their team win a game that's played 16 weeks out of the year, 17 weeks out of the year, then that's fine. But a kid trying to get drafted that's too flashy, that's where they draw the line. It's unreal to me.
What do I think about the Lakers and Wolves and LeBron's ass about to get sent home? That's true. I mean, the Lakers are on the brink of being gentlemen swept. I think that game is tonight at 10:30. I mean, his legacy takes another hit, right? Laker fans are already with the excuses that he can't be the greatest player ever and do everything, and it's somebody else's fault. It's always somebody else's fault when LeBron loses. Don't get me wrong. The Lakers do have glaring roster issues, specifically on the bench. They don't have bigs. I know Luka was sick, I believe 2 or 3 of the games. But I mean, overall, like the last game, the Lakers had 20 turnovers. Like, you're not going to win that way. You're missing free throws. You have bad closeouts. You have useless role players. Like, I want to see the Timberwolves win because Anthony Edwards, I think, to me, is one of those players that can be the face of the league, but he needs a championship or at least a finals appearance to, like, put him over the top, to be up in that, like, where we rank Jason Tatum generally, or SGA, who hasn't won anything. But the Timberwolves have just flat out played better, straight up. So, I mean, that's, it is what it is. Said Lakers in 5 to Cancun, right? 3-2-1, Cancun. Damn right. Bert, that was awesome. That was an awesome topic, bud. I like that.
I love keeping this conversation going, because you want to know why? Like, it's one thing to have the knee-jerk reaction about it, but the amount of engagement we're getting, and for anybody that hasn't seen it, I urge you. My co-host, friend, and brother, this brilliant man sitting across from me, created such a social storm post that really should get you thinking a little bit on a deeper level. And there's so much engagement going on in the surface level, and it really boils down to individuals having certain bias and issues and these knee-jerk reactions, as we've just talked about. So I have no problem furthering this conversation, even if it continues, because it's shit like this where I love getting under people's skin, but B, making sure that we get it out there in terms of what we think is really going on and why is this pissing you off so much. The truth will set you free, but first it'll piss you off.
What do you think of Anthony Edwards' child support? I love the fact that he paid all 18 years up front. That's amazing.
That's a smart move.
It's super smart. Yeah, I mean, hey, I'm with it, man. Listen, I get it. I get it. I'm just saying, in the circumstances, if you're gonna if you're gonna do what he's doing, paying up front is probably the best of all the options.
Yeah.
Bert, do you have a game ball you want to give out?
I do. So draft day wasn't great for everybody, and there was a story that when you heard it, it just kind of like it was bittersweet on many levels. And Derek Harmon, who was drafted by the Steelers, was drafted, and then his mother passed away shortly thereafter, who was on life support. And it's one of those sports stories that really any story, and anytime you lose a loved one or parent, but I say bittersweet. Of course, it's incredibly tough for that family, and our condolences go out. But the sports are there, and seeing that, hopefully knowing that her son hit his goal and drafted at the highest level. And she was certainly able to see that. But my game ball goes to him, as does my condolences.
Yeah, that was a terrible story. I mean, like, I feel for the kid. It's like the happiest and like saddest day of his life.
Yeah.
Based on everything I was reading, they were kind of expecting it. So at least it wasn't like, because when I first heard it, I was like, oh my God, like how,
I know you think,
what are
like,
the odds,
what
right?
happened?
Like, what the hell? But once you kind of understand what was happening, it was like, okay, he kind of figured this was one of those things. So, you know, it's sad. Congratulations, but then also condolences, I guess would be the right thing to do. My game ball is going to Elijah Arenas. He is the son of NBA star or former NBA star, Wizard star Gilbert Arenas. He's an 18-year-old recruit for USC. He got into a severe car accident a week ago, or less than a week ago, where he lost control of his Cybertruck and crashed into a tree, crashed into a fire hydrant. He got put into a medically induced coma because of the smoke inhalation was so bad. But now he's out of the hospital. He's on his way to recovery. And I think, I mean, he's a 5-star recruit, right? Like, so he's starting his path. And this was a huge kind of speed bump. Not, I guess that's a bad way to say it, but you know what I mean? Like, it's a hurdle. It's a hurdle that obviously nobody's planning for, but thank God he's alive and he's okay. And now he can go and start recovering. Ain't those things not supposed to explode? Yeah, I thought so. Well, we knew those Cybertrucks were fraudulent when Elon Musk said, yeah, they're indestructible, and he threw a rock at the windshield and it shattered. I was like, yeah, we probably should just temper such things. Hey, Bert, this was fun.
Yeah.
Thank you for all the participation. Thank you for everybody who stuck around and watched us, all 60-something of you. There were 70 at some point. Please give us a like. Don't forget to subscribe. It really helps the channel. Follow us at Stuff About Sports on Instagram, at Give Us a Shot Network on Instagram for the main plug, and www.giveusashot.network. Please leave a like. Please share. Thank you for everybody who did that on Instagram on our post. Keep it growing. We'll continue to make more content. And if you don't want to do it, then we're just inclined to believe you're a hater. And I mean, we thank you for checking us out. Whoever you two are, Jeremy, Eddie, and James. I just noticed James has black you, Bert. That's your picture.
Oh shit, it is.
Yeah, and so I don't know who you two are in real life, but I mean, thank you for helping us. You're helping us out, and you can keep
every week. We appreciate you showing up. Yeah,
and come back. I'll keep doing stuff for you. So till next week, enjoy the playoffs, enjoy the hockey playoffs, enjoy the NBA playoffs, enjoy the baseball, and me and Bert will get up with y'all next week.